Ok pessoal, estou de volta. Vamos continuar Dungeon 2, Missão 2.
The last remaining heroes of the country joined forces and cast a powerful banishment spell. The absolute evil disappeared from sight with a threatening gesture, and a faint whispered, "I'll be back." The absolute evil had been banished, and its essence shattered into several pieces. Its reign of terror had ended. The good people of the overworld rejoiced, and an era of peace began for the Alliance. The evil creatures were driven back into the underground, doomed to serve as cannon fodder for pleasure-seeking adventurers. Meanwhile, secreted away in the world's most inaccessible places, the last remains of the absolute evil were resting, never again to see the light of the overworld. Until today, that is. Somewhere deep under the earth, the ultimate evil awoke.
Ultimate Pure awoke. Sou eu. Ultimate Evil sou eu. Sou mesmo badass. Vamos ver. Gosto muito do design dos jogos.
And the hand of terror arose, controlled by the ultimate evil. Come on, hand of terror, arise, damn you! Methinks that exploring the surrounding area would be a sensible strategy. However, to do this, light would be required. Still not bright enough.
Mais luz, mais luz.
An old throne room was revealed by the light.
Okay.
The circumstances remained a mystery. The hand of terror flew through the throne room, following each and every thought the ultimate evil had.
Mana.
After a few flying sessions, the ultimate evil was able to control the hand with ease. The time had come to call forth creatures who were completely devoted to it and would do its dirty work. Little snots were the dregs of each and every dungeon and spent their time taking care of it. The expansion-mad evil hired one snot on the spot.
Slaves.
The first little snot appeared. It was completely ready to work in the dungeon and to crawl in the dust before the ultimate evil. Little snots were important to the ultimate evil because they took care of many important...
Little snot.
Little things, such as...
Completion points. Even an evil genius as a cell can only control a certain number of creatures.
Excavating new areas. The psionically gifted evil could sense the presence of something important that was buried to the south. It instructed its little snots to dig in that direction.
Okay.
As quick as a fart, the little snot made his way to the marked position and began to dig.
Isto é tipo craft world 3D.
Behold, the creatures of the overjoyed evil had apparently been much more industrious than it had thought. A great dungeon was revealed behind the wall. Everything was already in place. Doors, traps, a well-filled treasury. Oh, wait. Treasury? And where, if you please, is this treasury? Oh, well. One can't expect too much of these mindless little snots. First of all, some gold had to be dug out to make space for a treasury to be created. The hand of terror swiftly marked a few small gold veins so that the little snots could excavate them. As soon as the gold vein was selected, a little snot immediately set out to mine valuable gold for the greedy.
Types of gold. You will come across two types of gold underground, gold veins and rich gold veins. Gold veins can be removed quickly, much in the same way as normal walls, and provide you with a quick boost of gold for a period of time. Rich, okay.
Evil.
Não dá para fazer mais um. Isto é o máximo. Parece que é o máximo. quero fazer isto. Ops, uma trap. Portanto, para quem não sabe, a ideia deste jogo é: nós somos um demónio, controlamos um exército
Once
de
most of the
minions
gold had been mined, the Hand of
e nós
Terror
somos os
quickly
maus
created a
aqui
treasury on the spot
e
so that the
temos
precious
que
metal could be safely stored.
defender aqui a nossa base, a nossa gruta de ataques inimigos que vêm da superfície e que de futuro teremos que atacar, tentar controlar território. Ok, tenho aqui uma opção nova, treasury aqui.
The clever evil mastered this task with flying colors. From now on, little snots could use the treasury to store
Little
mined gold.
snots.
It was then at the greedy evil's disposal.
Build a room. First of all, select everything you have select. Now in the action window, select the room menu. In this menu, select treasure. Ok, já fiz
Whenever
isto.
more rooms needed to be built or new creatures recruited, little snots were all well and good, but were too weak and cowardly to defend the dungeon. Since it was not able to defend itself, the ultimate evil would have to hire some orcs. But they would require food. Liquid food. Well, beer to be precise.
Vinho.
So the next
cerveja.
important thing to build was a brewery.
Cerveja.
And that would require some space to
Trabalham
be
à custa de
created.
cerveja.
The ultimate evil had the feeling that its servants were not
Ok. Hacking unit, you can also hack unit. To motivate them. Ok, sério?
really putting their backs into the work.
Fazer zoom.
Might a hearty slap from the Hand of Terror change that? The
Chapada.
sadistic evil encouraged its creature to work a little faster, with a friendly
Dou uma
but not
chapada
at all
eles
gentle
trabalham mais
slap.
Toma. 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 Perdem vida. Ok. Então vamos lá fazer aqui a nossa taberna. Eu acho que não basta. Toma. Toma. Aqui. Toma. Dig out and clear areas. Ok. Dig out.
However, the absurd evil was still hesitating. Alcohol? Consumed in the dungeon? Wouldn't that increase the crime rate? Of course not. There's no such thing in this game.
Anda rápido. Vou ter que levar mais uma. Pomba. 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 Tomba. Tomba. Onde é que tu vais? Também queres? Tomba. Este está com vidas. Tomba. Tomba.
The feisty evil's little snots dug up a spider's nest, thereby preempting some of my stories. Since there were no powerful fighting units in the dungeon, it was advisable for everyone to keep very, very still for the time being. There was now an area cleared for the brewery site, and with quick finger snaps from the Hand of Terror, the room stood ready.
Sério? Ok. Vamos fazer aqui a nossa taberna.
Excellent. But the recently built brewery lacked a brewing copper. With a sigh of resignation, the overworked evil set about taking care of that
Isto é
too.
uma destilaria. Deixa eu ver. Exatamente.
The hard-working evil effortlessly built a brewing copper so that delicious beer could be brewed as soon as possible. One of the little snots started working on the brewing copper. The nostalgic evil banished all thoughts of Oktoberfest and brass bands. Those would have to wait.
Oktoberfest.
More important tasks had to be completed first. Both beer and gold were now available in the dungeon.
Oktoberfest, para quem
So
não
it was
sabe,
time to hire some creatures
grande
to defend
festa de
against
cerveja
greedy
na
heroes or whatever
Alemanha.
else snuck around underground. At present, it was
Grande
only
festival
simple
da
orcs
cerveja.
declaring undying loyalty to the ultimate evil. The rest of the horde was scattered to the winds.
Ok, e agora? Agora temos que construir 5 arcos.
Orcs were defensive close combat specialists, capable of dealing with many opponents. However, they were very vulnerable to ranged attacks.
Aqui está ele. Olha, tu vais para aqui, beber uns canecos. Deixa eu ver.
Suddenly, one of the repellent evil's servants became very thirsty. This was typical of a troop member. An eerie gong rang through the halls. It did not bode well for the ultimate evil's treasury stocks, for at each sounding of the gong, the creatures would collect their undeserved wages.
Efficiency of rooms. Rooms have efficient rating that shows how well work can be performed inside. You should try to ensure that the room is surrounded by walls as far as possible and that they have ideally also been upgraded. Prop tip, efficient can increase even beyond 100%. Okay.
However, there was little it could do about this,
Portanto,
as it was
basicamente as
chained to
salas
the
têm que ter
throne.
paredes.
Thus, it had to give free rein to
Não
its
pode ser
servants'
uma sala
desires,
aberta.
for the time being at least.
Sim, senhor. Isto aqui se calhar leva um aumento. Um aumento. A destilaria maior. Tem que ter espaço para andar.
The dungeon of the expansion-mad evil grew and prospered, but unfortunately, it had reached the maximum possible population it could currently manage. Now a creature would have to be thrown into the bottomless pit before any others could be brought in.
Pois é, já tenho 15 e ainda tenho que fazer um arco. Portanto tenho que pegar aqui no... Desculpa lá.
A thirsty orc arrived at the brewery.
Desculpa lá, mas
Eager and slavering, he started demolishing the alcohol hoarding. The creature disappeared into the pit of uselessness with a long drawn and gradually diminishing This particular act of wickedness brought a smile to the face of the ultimate evil.
Preciso de 2 pontos. Então tenho que suicidar outro. Pronto, ok. Estão preparados? Aqui vai. Oix, falhei. Ganda fail.
The dungeon of the ultimate evil was full of gelatinous cubes. Invisible gelatinous cubes.
Alt. Estão parados. Ok.
One louse-infested orc crawled up from the depths and declared allegiance to the ultimate evil. The first step towards the creation of a powerful army had been taken. At the exact moment in which the ultimate evil hired an orc, the spiders suddenly became aware of its presence and attacked the dungeon. This was an incredible coincidence and was in no way connected with any triggers or scripts in the level map. The abysmal evil used the Hand of Terror to grab several of the creatures that were still completely inexperienced at fighting and threw them onto the spider's nest.
Já estou a fazer. Está aqui já. Toma outro. Tu também. Deixa eu ver. Caso não sei se está para mudar os nomes. Já é engraçado mudar os nomes aqui do... Deixa eu ver. Ok. Acho que não dá.
Payday!
Payday? Não. Ainda não. Olha. Um livrozinho. Um livrozinho. Vamos escrever um livrozinho. O que aconteceu?
The spiders dropped like flies. The strategically well-versed evil patted itself on the back, proud that it had led its troops into battle with such aplomb. And by led, I just simply mean chucking them at the enemy. The basics of a dungeon were now in place. However, the brewery was puny and didn't really have room to store beer barrels in, and the treasury was also anything but impressive in size. Quickly, the expansion-hungry evil set out to enlarge its dungeon.
Vamos aumentar aqui a nossa destilaria.
In the meantime, several carnivorous penguins had begun to make their way to the ultimate evil's dungeon. they would arrive eventually. But definitely not before this story has ended.
Ah, ok. Tem piada, sim senhor. Ok, aqui mais ouro. Portanto, eles... Isto é a nossa...
The evil has
nosso banco.
awoken, but its brothers are still asleep.
Huh? What on earth was that? That's not in my script. What a weirdo. No matter. We'd better get back to concentrating on the dungeon.
Ok. Bora lá, aqui outra vez. Mais... um banco para o nosso guito. Picking up units. Ok, já fiz. O que é que falta? Está tudo muito parado. Não tem espaço. Só tem que aumentar. Ei, desculpa. Toma. Isto aqui já não dá para partir.
It's payday.
Olha, eles ali roubarem-me o guito todo, sacana. Está precisando de umas chapadas.
Apologies, but a narrator has got to earn a living too. So we interrupt this game for a short commercial message. Buy games from Calypso. Lots of games. Thank you. End of commercial.
Oh wow, estão-se a passar. Espera. Ah, agora já dá. Aqui aumentar. Eu acho que o jogo visualmente está mesmo bonito. Está com as texturas bastante porreiras. A Wii também está muito engraçada. Sim senhor.
A huge monstrosity loomed out of the darkness on 8 legs. This dungeon's human guards had been ancient history for a long while. Now it was home to a huge spider and her brood. Would Sam and Frodo escape it and continue their journey to Mount Doom? Or was this the end of the Ring-Bearer? Hang on a minute, that's not the right text. Where were we? Oh yes, a huge spider, henceforth called the Spider Queen. It would be necessary to eliminate the Spider Queen before the horde could reach the surface. The Spider Queen sent forth a wave of her children. Of course, the ultimate evil was fully aware of this danger and immediately prepared to defend itself against them. At least, that's what I hope.
Estou trabalhando. Estou a tratar disso. Aqui, mais um. E tem uma opção para mandar tudo.
A few creatures of the ultimate evil had lit a fire in the dungeon and begun to barbecue. The smell of freshly roasted meat wafted through the underground.
Não estou a perceber. Eles vão-se embora. Venham cá. Aqui. Tu também, onde é que estás?
And another wave of spiders set out to destroy the ultimate evil.
lá.
Payday.
Payday. Estás no meio de uma fight e vais receber. Fallen units. If a unit fall in battle within your dungeon, your latest note will drag it to the hospital. If you ever não tenho ainda. If your unit dies on the surface, you can teleport them into the dungeon with the panic retreat spell, but only in areas that... Ok, não tem nada a dizer. Portanto, supostamente alguém morreu. Vou buscar aqui outro este. Ah, o Spider Killer está ali espetacular. Ah, morreu. Este morreu. Ah, mas posso pegar no corpo.
The vile perversion, once called the Spider Queen, had nothing more with which she could fight the Horde. Later, the sensitive evil would have her innards made into a lava lamp. The way to the surface was open. Now it was time to put those vengeance plans into practice. The vile evil wanted to take this opportunity to utter a really sinister laugh. But unfortunately, its physical state made this unviable. Instead, it asked the narrator to do a bit of sinister laughter on its behalf.
Ok, faz lá.
Oh,
Podes fazer.
Here goes. Deep breath.
Olha, acabou. Pronto, pessoal. Olha, está muito divertido. Estou a curtir bem o narrador. Já sabem, se gostarem, se querem que eu continue, ponham um like, escrevam nos comentários e pronto, esperem pelo próximo episódio.